Morning, everybody. Before I start, I just want a show of hands. Who's ever heard of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation? Oh, wow. I was not expecting that. That is great news. So, as many of you know, Ellen MacArthur is the sailor who sailed around the world and broke the record in 2005. And when I tell most people I work for the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they think I sail for a living. But if you also have been on a boat with me, I get quite seasick, so I think probably quite a lot of people are quite glad I don't. What I do is work for a charity which does some pretty big, bold and exciting stuff with an ambitious mission to accelerate the transition to a circular economy. So how did we get here? So when Ellen set off on her 3-month voyage around the world, she had to pack everything onto her boat and then manage those resources down to the last packet of food and the last drop of diesel. And while having broken the record and she stepped off the boat and had some time to reflect, she realised that our economy is no different. It's entirely dependent on finite resources, and we're using them at a rate and making them to all the fantastic products that we own and use to meet the needs of our growing population. And it's been this way since the Industrial Revolution, when raw materials were seemingly limitless and energy from fossil fuels was cheap and abundant. Through significant technological innovations, we've managed to bring prosperity to millions, if not billions, of people around the world. But our economy is also hugely wasteful. It doesn't make very effective uses of the resources that we do have, which we now know are not infinite at all. We produce way more than we need, and we produce it in a way which is creating huge amounts of environmental impacts. So let me give you a few examples to bring this to life, which are probably quite relatable. We only eat about 2/3 of the food that we produce. More than 20% of that is rejected before it even reaches us. The fashion industry uses about 8,000 chemicals to go from the raw materials in our clothes to the things we buy off the shelves. And we only know the health and environmental impacts of about 2,000 of those. The average drill is only used for less than 20 minutes in its entire lifetime. So you probably all have a drill. Thinking about it sitting in your cupboard right now. Every minute, a garbage truck full of plastics is dumped into our oceans. So that's 2 just in the time I've been speaking to you. And every second, a garbage truck of textiles is wasted. And finally, the average European car is parked for 92% of its life. Only 1.5% of that time is spent looking for parking, 1% stuck in traffic, although it probably feels like more, and 5% of that time actually driving. And for the 5% of that time, we usually only have 1 or 2 people in the car, despite the car having 5 seats. So it's a huge amount of inefficiency in the system. At the heart of our economy lies this linear model: take, make, waste. We take resources from the ground, we make them into all the amazing products that we have, and then often after a really short period of time, and when they're no longer wanted or needed, we throw them away to be landfilled or incinerated. Of course, we're not blind to the fact that this is the case. You probably opened the newspaper this morning and saw a headline about plastics pollution or deforestation. But what are the common responses to this problem? Use less, ban plastics, clean the beaches, recycle more. Now, all of these things are really vital, but by themselves, they're not going to solve the problem in the long run because they treat the symptoms and not the root cause. Take plastics, for example. The recycling symbol has been around for 40 years, and today we only collect 14% of plastics globally for recycling. And of that, only 2% is recycled into plastics which can be used for the same or similar quality applications. Whether we're looking at plastics, electronics, construction, the story is the same. This take, make, waste approach to production and consumption is not only damaging, it's also increasingly uneconomical for consumers, for producers, and for the environment. The linear economy amounts to billions of dollars of wasted value in raw materials, in the way we make things, and in costs of disposal at the end of their life. We need a new way to capture value in this waste. More than that, we need to innovate in the way we design things so that they never become waste in the first place. We need to rethink the system and move from value extraction to value creation. With a circular economy, products are made to be used and reused, using safe, non-toxic materials which can be cycled in the economy, which are not made in ways which are damaging to humans and the environment. And there's three principles of a circular economy. So the first is design out waste and pollution. Rather than treating the symptoms of pollution or trying to deal with waste once it's already generated, why don't we rethink the way we design things and business models so that they never become waste in the first place? Second is keep products and materials in use. How can we make better use of the products we already have, like going back to that car example, and also keep our products and materials in use so that through new business models and cycles of reuse, of repair, of refurbishment, of remanufacturing and recycling. And finally, regenerate natural systems. We don't want to just continue depleting our environment, but at a slower rate. A circular economy aims to regenerate the natural systems which have been damaged by our current industrial era. And when I first heard this, it was a light bulb moment for me. It was such a simple concept and makes so much sense, like turning a line, our linear throughput economy, into a circle. And it's not something which feels like a nice to have. It's something which, for me, is an inevitability if we're going to sustain a thriving economy on a planet with finite resources. And it's also not a new concept. This is the way that nature has worked for billions of years, breaking down the old and using it to rebuild the new. So a good example of this, moving from the metaphorical light bulb moments I had to actual light bulbs. A few years ago, Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam approached Philips Lighting and said, "We want illumination in our airport, but we don't want to worry about the bulbs and the fittings." So Schiphol Airport surveyed the airport and designed a lighting infrastructure for them. So Philips maintains ownership of the lights and the infrastructure, which are designed to last and be durable, and so ultimately they can be returned and reused or repurposed or recycled. So I see this as a win-win-win. So it's a win for Philips because they have an ongoing service contract, which means greater certainty of cash flows, and they can maintain the ownership of their fixtures at the end of their use so that they can reduce their raw material costs. It's a win for Schiphol Airport, the customer, because they don't have to maintain their own lighting infrastructure, and they only pay for what they use. And it's also a win for the broader system and the environment, because Philips are incentivized to make the lighting infrastructure modular, so you can replace just individual lighting components, which not only reduces maintenance costs, it also reduces raw material consumption and waste. I'm sure next time you go through Schiphol Airport, you look at the lights with brand new eyes. Oh, am I going to? And this change is just one example, and I have so many more, which I don't have time for today, of a system which operates in an entirely different way to our linear economy. And it's also an example which gives a flavour of the multi-trillion-dollar opportunity that the circular economy is, by better utilising assets, driving innovation, and keeping products and materials in use. It also helps address some of the greatest challenges of our time, from climate change to resource scarcity, biodiversity loss, waste and pollution, and offers a delivery mechanism for some of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Taking climate change as an example, 55% of emissions can be addressed by looking at the energy sector, energy efficiency and transition to a renewable energy. But the remaining 45% of emissions relate to how we make and use our products, for which circular economy is a large part of the answer. Circular economy offers the potential for better growth, and financial institutions have a vital role to play to accelerate the shift from value extraction to creating value by growing the regenerative parts of our economy. It's a vision for a future which works within the limits of our planet. But it's not just a vision. The shift is already happening, with hundreds of companies, large and small, already applying the principles of a circular economy in their own businesses, from the generation of renewable energy to remanufacturers. So, bright spots are emerging and the shift is happening. But to address the significant challenges we face today, we need to urgently scale the circular economy. And to scale, we need the finance sector on board to help mobilize capital and allocate it, to provide services, and to engage companies, to drive innovation, and to scale these emerging and existing circular projects and solutions. Industry leaders around the world are gearing up to capture this new areas of value, reinforced by changing consumer trends, public pressure, and regulation. Plastics is a perfect example of where the shift is happening really fast and where investment opportunities are emerging. 4 years ago, we launched an initiative to rethink the future of plastic packaging. Our first report did some analysis which showed that if we don't change what we do, by 2050 we could have more plastic in the oceans than fish. So we took this to the World Economic Forum in Davos, and less than 4 years later, we have over 400 organizations signed up behind a common vision to change for a circular economy for plastics. And the signatories setting ambitious targets include global brands like Coca-Cola, Danone, Unilever, PepsiCo, Nestle, along with 200 others which make up 20% of the global plastic packaging market. And this creates a massive opportunity for suppliers who can provide the solutions that these brands and governments need to meet their targets. And this could be anything from innovative like reuse models, reverse vending machines, or alternative materials. And examples, I think, such as this demonstrate how circular economy also represents massive opportunity for investors in financial institutions. Driven by innovation and new solutions, is becoming more and more apparent as a global megatrend. Global megatrend and an attractive investment theme, which holds the potential to generate financial returns alongside positive environmental and society-wide impacts. And we aren't the only ones to think so. We're thrilled to announce that yesterday BlackRock joined as a global partner to our foundation and launched their first circular economy fund. And the fact that BlackRock is exploring as the world's largest asset manager is exploring the circular economy as an investment opportunity, we believe send a strong signal to other investors and companies alike. This partnership is just part of a broader initiative by the foundation to mobilize capital to help scale the circular economy. It's an important milestone, but it's only the beginning. So when I started this presentation, I asked you if you knew about us, and it turned out a lot of you did. That's great. But I didn't want to spend too much time, probably spent too much time, talking about what we do. What I really wanted to do was get you thinking about what it means for what you do as fund managers and financial advisors. I wanted some of you to have your own light bulb moments. So the world is searching for new solutions, and now we need leaders and pioneers within the finance sector to help scale the circular economy. And I hope some of you will come along with us on this exciting journey. Thank you.